Do we over-romanticize love? Yes. Yes, we do. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're good, hope you're well. So, love and marriage has evolved over time. We know this. The idea of marrying for love and for passion and for romance is a very new concept. Like, I think it only came into the West like 150 years ago. Originally, marriage was like economic, for reproduction, class, community, etc. It evolved slowly over time, as with everything else in society, but we can definitely look back in our own lifetime and see that evolution. So now we're part of a generation that both idolizes and bashes the way previous generations in our lifetime did love and marriage. We hear people say stuff like, oh, they don't make men/women like they used to, when they're referring to like how women used to be super loyal or how men used to provide and protect. But then we also hear people say stuff like, oh, I don't want to love like my grandma had, where granddad was just gallivanting up and down and grandma couldn't do anything about it because she didn't have the economic, government, whatever support that she needed to be able to leave. So clearly there are elements of love and marriage from the past that we both love and hate. And of course, if something is wrong, we should seek to correct it. That's why things like the advancement of women's rights that allow them to be more independent, like, having their own bank account, and the evolution of men where we're encouraging them to be a bit more in tune with their emotions and, not bottle it up and carry themselves in a way that literally used to kill them. All of these things are good. But equally, I feel like what we might have done in an effort to correct the oppressive or backwards way that relationships were done, or just society was done in general, what we've done is we've actually thrown the baby out with the bathwater. Because along with the bad parts of relationships and marriage from the past, there were also some things that we probably should have held on to. The biggest, and I guess kind of all-encompassing one, being community. Marriage was a community affair, 100%. And what that meant was that everybody had and knew their roles within that community. And obviously that's not all good, because it can be quite restricted and oppressive, but it did, I think, alleviate some of the burden of thinking that you, between the two of you in this relationship, have to do it all yourself. That burden, I think, was eased when community was a bigger part of society and relationships. Now, community, in my opinion, is dead. For the most part, for most people's experience, community is dead. Especially over here in the West, especially if you live in a city. I can't speak for people who live in the country or small towns, but I think from my experience, between the people living in small towns and the people living in cities, they have it better in terms of that community feel and being close to your neighbors. If you've ever lived in a small town and then moved to a city, or vice versa, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. And bringing it back to the topic of relationships, marriage, love, Esther Perel, one of my faves, she said it best in like one of what's now like one of her most famous messages, quotes, which is that now we are asking one person to give us what an entire village used to provide. Let me say that again. Now we are asking one person to give us what once an entire village used to provide. Phrases like my other half and my everything are cute, but I think we've taken it literally, and we do want that one person, that significant other, to be our best friend, our lover, our confidant, our shoulder to cry on, our encourager, our provider. Like, imagine the pressure and the expectation and the disappointment that we now feel in relationships. It's too much. It's too much. Like, when you deep that we are literally what we used to get from a village, as in maybe tens, if not hundreds of people, we're now expecting from one person. Now, let's not forget the actual romanticization of love that we get from music, from books, from TV shows, from films. If you're anything like me, then you've definitely dreamed up some scenarios in your head with the person that you love. And those scenarios, those daydreams, those thoughts, they don't just come out of the blue. Like, I've personally have definitely been influenced somewhat. My imagination has been influenced by the books I've read, or the TV shows, or the music I've listened to, or dare I say, once upon a time, the porn I've watched. And it is mad unrealistic. very unrealistic. Some of these lyrics are, if you really deep some of these song lyrics, they're so unrealistic. And I know it's music, it's art, but it really does infiltrate our minds. But well, I just leave that there. And I'm not saying it's all bad, because why not have romance in your marriage? I mean, I think we should. I think it's fine to have spice, and it's good to have spice and passion and excitement in your relationship. And if you can, why not marry your best friend and have fun and have an adventure? So I'm not saying that it has to be the extreme opposite of like one weird partnership where you just have kids and do whatever and it's not fun and it's not passionate and all that kind of stuff. I think the problem lies in extremes. Going from marriage, relationship out of duty to marriage, relationship to fulfill my every desire. And the key word in the current extreme, in my opinion, is that word my, me, myself, I. Recently, I'm hearing the phrase, it doesn't serve me anymore, a lot, or if it doesn't serve you, then leave. And I think in the wrong context, that is very bad advice. I do think that idea of it doesn't serve me anymore is probably one of the biggest problems we have in like current modern relationships. We're so focused on the relationship or the person serving us and every single one of our needs in every way. And then we're also taught that that is the priority and we're not there to serve the other person. But how does that work if you're both of that mindset? I've said this before in another video, but I think the most efficient thing we can do is focus on what we can control, and what we can control is ourselves, not other people. If you feel like you found a good person that you know has good intentions for you and has your best interest in heart, the best thing I think we can do is agree that, okay, me, myself, what I can control, I'm going to focus on serving you. And hopefully, if the person is in the same mindset and they're focused on serving you, you're focused on serving them, then both of your needs will be met to the extent that one person is able to meet your needs. That's the key, to the extent that they're able to meet your needs. All of your other needs can be met by yourself, your friends, your family, your wider community, God. Like that, in my head, is like the perfect storm of I'm serving you because I love you. You're serving me because you love me. We're meeting each other's needs, therefore we have grace because we understand that you are not God. You can't meet every single one of my needs. And then other needs are met in other ways by different people, different things, different stuff. Because I also think, and I think Esther Perel said a similar thing, that we're obviously not getting married now when we're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 like they did once upon a time. We're now getting married later in our late 20s, early mid 30s, even 40s, which is fine. But with that mindset of, somebody coming to serve you, relationship serving your every need, it doesn't make sense, because at 30, at mid 20s, 30, you're now like a fully formed adult with like pretty much your life is quite set. You're set in your ways. You've sort of formed yourself. And so you're not marrying someone, you're not getting into a relationship with someone and sort of growing together anymore. You are two fully formed people, but you as a fully formed grown adult are expecting this person to come in and meet your needs in a very particular way, because now your life is pretty much set and they're expecting the same thing as another fully formed 30-year-old. It's just unbelievably unrealistic.
But I'm marrying at 29 or 35 in a capstone model of marriage. Capstone being I'm already formed. I'm not starting out to form myself with you. I've done the forming. I've acquired my career and my identity and my habits and my car and my all. And now you are the one who is going to not help me become somebody, but you're going to help me preserve what I've already become. And so now I'm asking you what traditional marriage always wanted me to ask from you about family and social status and companionship and economic support. But on top of it, you are the person who is going to recognize me and validate me and reflect back on me my image that I want to have of myself, my ideal image of myself. Let's put it like that. And you're also going to be my confidant and my passionate lover There's a lot of stuff to ask from one person.
And speaking of unrealistic expectations, doing full circle back to the original question, I don't think that we should settle at all or lower our standards. No way, no way. But I do think we need to rethink our standards, as in rethink what's important to us and rethink why it's important to us, and if it's important to us based on what our long-term goals are. Not to make relationships sound dead, but we do really need to think about it like that. Because, for example, what I would prioritize in a partner if I was looking for somebody that maybe I wanted to be with for a couple of years and travel the world and have fun, what I would prioritize there would be so different to what I would prioritize if I was looking for somebody to be with for the rest of my life and raise a family and raise a next generation and like change the world with, for example. All of us, not just men, not just women, all of us, I think, need to rethink these expectations, rethink or define what actually really matters to us and what's right. Because speaking to myself when I say this, it's not always about your emotions and how you feel. You have to think about what's right and go for that. Not neglecting preference and attraction and all that razzle dazzle, but we do need to maybe rethink the ranking of what is actually important based on what we want long term. Because, for example, if I had to choose for some reason between spending a lifetime with a man that had bare money or a man that had a good character and they couldn't have both, I'm 100% choosing the character. Because contrary to popular discourse and what I hear on the streets on Twitter, it's the man with the wayward character that's what will cause you, your kids, your family, your future, everything more stress than, being in, not having a lavish lifestyle, for example, or being a bit down financially, in my opinion. So I would choose the character because I would think long term, not just like for the next 5 years or 10 years, potentially for the next 50, 60 years, what actually is going to be important to me long term, and like really think about it. So all of this to say, let's rethink our priorities. Let's rethink how we look at love and relationships and marriage. I don't want to throw cold water over people, but I think cold water needs to be thrown. The streets, the stats, everything is saying that the current way that we're doing things is not working. And you know what they say about people who do the same thing but expect different results? They say that they're crazy. So let's not be crazy and let's rethink how we're doing this thing. And to be honest, this doesn't even end with relationships. There's so many things that seem right now that they're not working, but we don't want to admit that these things are not working, and we just keep on doing it. Keep on doing the same thing, expecting different results. And it doesn't make sense. We're all crazy, but also we're all products of our environment, so it's not like our individual fault. But anyways, you get what I'm saying. And if you take one thing away from this, and you ignore all the stuff about relationships because whatever, I would say prioritize community. I know that was a small part of this whole thing, but really and truly prioritize community. I can't stress that enough. Yes, we can't do love and relationships alone, but we cannot just anything in this life, we can't do it alone. And we are definitely moving to an individualistic type of society, and I just think it's killing us. And so if there's one thing you take away, is to prioritize community. If not for me, thankfully, having a good community of people around me, my relationship, my marriage, my career, my everything, I just know it would be in the bin. So let's not underestimate the importance and the importance of the influence of the right, having the right community around you. So that's all I have to say. I would obviously love to hear what you guys think about it. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying and not hearing what I'm not saying. I just think we should always find better ways of doing stuff. We'd love to hear what you think down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think we over-romanticize love? Do you think I'm being a pessimist and we actually should be all sparkles and romance and rainbows? Tell me what you think, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.